What's good, my friends? My name's Corrupt, and it is time to go over the most broken TH13 attack, the triple clone bomb Hydra attack. This does require you to have a little bit of base identification under your belt. First and foremost, sometimes what you're able to do, like this attacker here, is to spam everything in a line. You can do this, it is an option. This is not really the best way to go with it. You want to make sure that you're creating the funnel with your Barbarian King and Archer Queen and possibly bringing an Electro Dragon. I would always recommend doing that because you want to funnel two sides so you're able to control where your Dragons and Dragon Riders go. Overall, this can still work, especially early game, and you could bring a Rage spell for them as they start to work themselves into the core. But the idea is that this might not be enough, as you might have a very little amount actually moving through. In this case, all you've got is a couple of dragons going in here, here, and here. You got them kind of panning out too much. Now, of course, this attack can actually be used against super minion CCs, so it's really not super difficult. And overall, what you really want to do with this attack to make sure you have prime success with it is using your Grand Warden ability. Sometimes you may need to be very careful of a tornado trap. This is something that is going to catch you, and it could catch you by surprise. So using the clone spells in a line provides you enough support for when your blimp pops, you're able to get that town hall down with no problems whatsoever. Overall, another thing that you do need to be very careful of is sweeper placement. By far one of the most important things to be aware of, as sweeper placement can really make or break your attack, like in this case here. But the other thing that you're going to be doing after you drop in your clone spells and your rage is your royal champion. You're going to use this on the back end. Try to hold on to her as much as possible so you're not using her too early or too late. That way you're able to still work your way through the base and making sure that you've got enough support for your dragons, dragon riders, cloned balloons. You're able to just easily start moving through. It is a really strong attack, and you may have noticed this goes fast. It is a fast attack to use, and at Town Hall 13 it is no different. It's not like the Inferno Dragons with the skeleton spells, but it's still a very strong army you may want to consider using, mostly because you get so much value from the use of those clone spells. It can work on a plethora of different bases, but being able to use this to crush bases, not just once but multiple times, really does consider how broken it is. Now, like I said, this attack goes by really fast, so this may not be a long video, but let's slow it down for you guys to hopefully understand what's going on. For the first part, you want to make sure that you're creating the funnel. Using your heroes it's really important. So being able to go in for something like the Eagle Artillery here as an example, going in for the Eagle is a really good move as the Eagle is a heavy hitter, so getting rid of it early is going to help you a lot. After this point, you could send in all your dragons and your dragon riders, though I would recommend funneling out this side, even if that means sacrificing a couple dragons. That way you can control most of them to go in the correct area. So being able to use the Grand Warden ability next, then using the rage spells and the clone spells allows you to get a huge amount of value from the clone. Of course, be very careful of the tornado traps. Whether this is placed on your way there or being placed right by the town hall, just gotta be very careful to it. You can bring in your royal champion right on the back end. Try to hold her for as long as possible. As you're able to work yourself across, maybe to something like a scatter shot, air defense, multi-inferno, etc., you've got a lot of really good options. You may even still have your Archer Queen alive, even your Barbarian King alive, so it really does depend, but overall, you can still get a huge amount of value from just using those 3 clone spells, and you'll have more than enough cleanup by the end of the attack. As I said, it is a very fast attack, and you can get through a large amount of this without having to really worry all too much. So now here's another example, again an anti-3, but how you can place your clone spells correctly. Now, of course, if you are enjoying the content here that I'm bringing, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any Town Hall 12, Town Hall 13, and maybe even some Town Hall 14 content in the future, so you don't miss out on any of that. Now, in order to really understand exactly what you're doing, of course, like the previous example, you want to make sure that you are establishing the funnel. Using a Barbarian King and Archer Queen really provides a lot of support. So that way you're able to send your dragons and dragon riders into the base. You can use the Grand Warden ability as an example, and this is where you really want to understand the clone spells. Using them in pretty much a triangular shape, overlapping, and using them a little bit later on, right before the blimp gets there, is exactly what you want. So being able to take down the town hall and letting everything pan out. You can bring in the use of free spells. This is where the free spells become incredibly good. I would always recommend using them towards the back end of the base though, so holding them on for stuff like the super minions in the CC, Inferno Towers, air defenses, the scatter shots, etc. Those things are going to hit you hard. So being able to still work your way across is the most important. Having the Royal Champion move in for an air defense and then going in for stuff like a scatter shot, single inferno, etc. That is where, again, the free spells would be really, really good. But of course, in this case, this just shows you how broken this attack is. It is extremely quick, and you've got enough cleanup to absolutely shred the base. And this is why it is an extremely strong attack strategy. If you're not using this one, I would highly recommend trying it out. It is really, really fun, and it is really destructive. But that's not all. We still have more examples of how to use it. Now, unlike all the spam you've seen, this one definitely does take the time to plan it out a little bit more. Outside of just spam and pray, being able to funnel is the most important thing. So bringing in wall breakers or super wall breakers is really nice. Being able to use your heroes to establish one side of the funnel is going to help you a lot. Using an Electro Dragon on the other side is going to help you a lot, controlling where your dragons and dragon riders are going. In this case here, he's going in towards the Eagle Artillery. That is one of the biggest things that you really want to try and look out for. Even an E-Drag CC can easily be dealt with this attack strategy. Bringing in the Rage spell and using the Grand Warden ability early allows you to protect all of your troops, including the Battle Blimp. As you work your way across to the other side, you can use those clone spells and the Rage in order to overwhelm the rest of that back end side. Of course, this is going to be using the Royal Champ on the back end of the base. You don't necessarily need to have her maxed. You could have her at level 16 as she kind of works her way around. And of course, you don't have any spells to support her, no invisibility, no free spells, so you really are a little bit stuck in terms of this. But being able to get the most from her is incredibly important, regardless of her level. As long as you've got her to support a couple troops, including stuff like Dragon Riders, then you can get a lot from them. This is still a very, very strong attack and is very flexible. In this case, he only has a couple dragons for cleanup. But the Dragon Riders will be able to do enough damage to the base to make sure that the Dragon Riders would then be able to start with the cleanup. Overall, the main thing that you really want to understand with this attack is just how good it is. Of course, some of these attacks could have easily failed on some bit of better bases, but since this does still work against a lot of bases, whether it be anti-2 or anti-3 star, it is safe to say that even if you think that this attack is going to fail, it isn't. Now, this can work on a variety of different base types. Now, of course, this base is not 100% maxed out at all, but understanding the fundamentals is what I want to get at you. So being able to use your heroes on either side or even using them together to create two different sides of the funnel is exactly what you want to do. You want to make sure that you've got good control of your dragons and your dragon riders, being able to move yourself into the core. Whether that have some scatter shots in there, the town halls in there, etc., this works incredibly well. Like you saw with the use against the anti-3 star bases, this really works well against anti-2 star ones. Being able to use the dragons and dragon riders, you have a clear funnel going towards the Eagle Artillery and using your Grand Warden ability. Even dealing with a Witch CC is not really that much of a problem. Being able to use your rage and clone spells, getting not just the Town Hall, but also the scatter shots and letting them pan out is exactly what you want. And holding on to that Royal Champion is by far one of the most important things. Being able to use that on the back end, maybe having some tankage from the Barbarian King, can really help a ton with this. Of course, was this base really easy for a max Town Hall 13? Yes, but you're not always going to find max bases in war, especially in the casual side of the game. So just keep that in mind as you are watching this, as for the most part, it is still a very simple attack that works against max level bases. Of course, it really does depend on your clone spell placement, but it is a very fast attack nonetheless, and by far one of the strongest attacks that you will use. If you want to see this at Town Hall 12 or even at Town Hall 14, make sure to leave a comment down below. Make sure to also check out my previous Town Hall 12 video of the top 5 best Town Hall 12 attacks, and also make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. Use code Corrupt and I'll catch you in the next video. Corrupt, signing out.